I'm Victoria, HR director at a tech company. Been here for 3 years. Finally have the influence I need to make real change. 250 employees, mostly engineers. And I've been watching the same patterns play out over and over. Same people getting promoted, same people getting raises, same people getting recognition. Notice, it's always the ones who spend the most time networking with leadership, the ones who are loudest in meetings, who take credit for team projects. Meanwhile, people who've been here for years, who quietly do their jobs, get passed over. It's not fair. It's not equitable. And I'm in a position to do something about it. Bring proposal to CEO Kenneth at our quarterly planning meeting. Spent weeks preparing my presentation. Data on retention issues, employee satisfaction scores. Kenneth, I've identified a core problem with our promotion and compensation structure. Show him the charts. Point out how subjective performance reviews are. Explain how they favor people who are good at self-promotion over people who actually do good work. We need to move to a seniority-based system. It's the only objective measure we have. Kenneth looks skeptical, but he's always been supportive of HR initiatives. What about performance reviews? He asks. They're part of the problem, I explain patiently. They're inherently biased. Managers promote people they like, people who remind them of themselves. We eliminate the reviews. We promote based on time served. We create actual fairness. Kenneth rubs his chin, looks at the CFO, Diana, who just shrugs. It's certainly more objective, Diana says, and it would simplify compensation planning significantly. Feel victorious, as Kenneth nods slowly. Let's pilot it for a year, see how it works. Pilot it. Cute. I think to myself, once we implement this, the results will speak for themselves. Spend the next month drafting the new policy. Call it the Equitable Advancement Framework. No more annual reviews. No more subjective manager evaluations. Promotions is based solely on tenure raises, based on standardized cost of living adjustments. Everyone moves up at the same pace. No favoritism, no bias. Roll it out at the all-hands meeting in September. Stand at the podium, feel confident in my presentation. We're moving toward a more fair and equitable workplace. Talent is equally distributed, but opportunity has not been. This new framework ensures everyone advances based on their commitment to the company, measured by the time they've invested in being here. See some nodding heads, some confused faces. The engineering teams in the back look notably unenthusiastic. Whatever, they always resist change. After the meeting, my inbox starts filling up. First email is from Jake, one of the senior engineers. Victoria, I need to understand this correctly. My performance doesn't matter anymore. Write back explaining that performance is subjective and often reflects bias. Everyone's performance matters, but we're measuring commitment differently. Now, get similar emails from Rachel, from Kim, from about a dozen others. All the usual high performers, the ones who were benefiting from the old unfair system. Of course they're upset. They're losing their unfair advantage. Second week of October, Jake submits his resignation, says he's accepted a position at a competitor. Kenneth calls me into his office looking concerned. Jake was one of our lead architects. He built half our core infrastructure. I know, I say calmly, but one person doesn't make or break a company. He was probably already looking anyway. This might be coincidental. Kenneth doesn't look convinced, but he accepts it. Start posting for Jake's replacement. The following week, Rachel resigns, then Kim, then 2 other engineers from the platform team. Kenneth calls an emergency meeting with me and the leadership team. Victoria, we have a serious problem. We've lost 5 senior engineers in 3 weeks. That's not a coincidence. That's a crisis. Stay calm. Explain that some turnover is normal. They're probably being recruited aggressively. It happens in tech. We'll hire replacements. And now we have an opportunity to bring in fresh talent. Diana from finance speaks up. The timing seems directly correlated with the policy change. Maybe we should consider pausing the new framework. Feel my jaw tighten. We can't just abandon equitable practices the moment they face resistance. Change is always uncomfortable for people who benefited from the old system. Kenneth looks tired. Set up exit interviews with everyone who's leaving. Find out what's really going on. Conduct the exit interview with Rachel myself. She's been with the company for 4 years. Solid engineer, always seemed reasonable. Rachel, help me understand your decision. She looks at me like I'm being deliberately obtuse. Victoria, I've spent 4 years building my skills, learning new technologies, taking on complex projects. I was being considered for a senior position. I've been working toward that. Now you're telling me that none of that matters. That someone who's been here longer but does the bare minimum gets promoted before me. Try to help her see the bigger picture, but don't you see how your advancement was based on subjective criteria? How it might have disadvantaged others who weren't as visible? Rachel shakes her head. My advancement was based on my skills and my work product. If someone else wanted to advance, they could develop their skills too. You've removed any incentive for excellence. She's not getting it. Still stuck in the meritocracy myth. Tell her I wish her the best in her future endeavors. November comes, and the resignations continue. Lose 3 more engineers. Start to feel the pressure from Kenneth, from the board. Production deadlines are slipping. Projects are behind schedule. The remaining engineers are having to cover for the gaps. One of them, Tom, comes to my office directly. He's been with the company for 7 years. Solid performer, but not one of the stars. Victoria, I wanted to give you a heads up. The entire platform team is interviewing elsewhere. Feel a cold spike of concern. What? Why? Tom looks uncomfortable. Look, I get what you were trying to do with the new policy, but half the team was younger people who were really talented and driven. They were excited about growing, about being recognized for their work. Now they feel like they're just serving time. And those of us who've been here longer, we're being asked to do more with less because we keep losing people and can't backfill with the same quality. Try to reason with him. But Tom, you benefit from this system. You'll be promoted based on your loyalty to the company. He gives me a sad smile. I don't want a promotion I didn't earn, and I don't want to work at a company that drives away the best people. He resigns the next week. By mid-November, we've lost 14 engineers. Kenneth stops asking me to set up exit interviews, starts conducting them himself, begins calling emergency board meetings that I'm not invited to. Hear through the grapevine that the board is furious. 2 major client projects have been delayed. One client is threatening to pull their contract. The remaining engineers are burned out and demoralized. Try to hire replacements, but the recruiting process is a disaster. The good candidates all ask about career growth and advancement. When I explain our equitable seniority-based system, they lose interest. So, there's no opportunity for rapid advancement based on performance, they ask. Have to explain that rapid advancement is inherently unfair to others. We get a few offers accepted, but they're not the same caliber. People who couldn't get jobs at the top-tier companies. Kenneth starts coming to me with printouts of Glassdoor reviews. Former employees are writing about the policy change, warning other engineers not to join the company. No meritocracy. Your work doesn't matter, only how long you sit in your chair. Ratings drop from 4.2 to 2.8 in a matter of weeks. December, the VP of Engineering, a guy named Owen, requests a meeting with Kenneth and me. Owen has been here for 8 years, helped build the company from 30 people to 250. We sit in the conference room. Kenneth looks like he hasn't slept. I've been offered a CTO position at another company. Owen says quietly, I wasn't looking. They approached me. I'm going to take it. Feel my stomach drop. Owen is well respected, stable, not one of the flashy self-promoters. Exactly the kind of person the new system was supposed to reward. Owen, you have the most seniority in engineering. I point out you're next in line for VP promotions under the new framework. He nods. I know, Victoria, and I appreciate what you were trying to do. But I can't stay at a company that's losing its technical edge. Half my team is gone. The people I was mentoring. The people who pushed me to be better. The ones who remain are either looking to leave or they've checked out mentally. I've spent 8 years building something I was proud of, and it's falling apart. Kenneth looks at Owen with something like desperation. What would it take to get you to stay? Owen glances at me, then back at Kenneth. Honestly, reverse the policy. Go back to merit-based advancement. And it might not be too late. But even then, we've lost some people we'll never get back. Feel defensive. So, we should just abandon equity. Go back to a system that rewards showboating and politics. Owen turns to me, and for the first time, he looks actually angry. Victoria, the old system wasn't perfect. I'll grant you that. But you threw out the baby with the bathwater. You assumed all performance evaluation was biased and subjective. Instead of fixing the review process, you eliminated the concept of performance mattering at all. That's not equity. That's just different unfairness. He stands up. I'll stay through January to transition. But that's it. After he leaves, Kenneth and I sit in silence. Finally, he speaks. Victoria, the board met yesterday. They want the policy reversed immediately. Feel a hot flash of anger. So the moment there's pushback against equity, we just cave. This is exactly why systemic change is so hard. Kenneth puts his head in his hands. This isn't pushback against equity. This is a complete organizational failure. We've lost 20% of our engineering team in 3 months. We're behind on deliverables. We're losing clients. Our reputation is damaged. I supported your initiative, but the results speak for themselves. Spend the weekend thinking about how to salvage this. Send Kenneth a long email Sunday night. Propose a compromise, a hybrid system, something that preserves the equity goals. He responds Monday morning with just one line. The board has made its decision. We're reverting to the old system. Announce the reversal at the next all hands. Stand at the podium feeling like a failure. Explain that we're iterating on our approach to advancement, bringing back performance reviews, but with enhanced training on bias reduction. See a few relieved faces in the crowd, but mostly just exhaustion. The damage is done. After the meeting, a woman named Sylvia approaches me. She's been with the company for 9 years, works in operations. Victoria, I just want you to know I appreciated what you tried to do. I've been here almost a decade and watched people half my tenure get promoted ahead of me. For a few weeks there, I felt like my loyalty actually mattered. Feel a lump in my throat. Thank you, Sylvia. That means a lot. She nods, but then continues. But I also have to tell you, it's been chaos trying to keep operations running. We lost so many people who knew the systems inside and out. The new hires don't have the same expertise, and I'm spending all my time training them. I'm not sure the recognition was worth the cost. She walks away, and I'm left standing there. Over the next few months, we managed to stabilize, hire some decent replacements, though not at the level of who we lost. A few of the people who resigned apparently tell their new companies the grass isn't greener. But none of them come back. Kenneth survives the board's displeasure, but our relationship is never the same. He stops asking my opinion on strategic initiatives, starts hiring a consulting firm for organizational development. Brings me the findings in April. They recommend we restructure HR leadership to have someone with more tech industry experience. Understand immediately what he's saying. Start looking for new positions. In my interviews, I have to explain the gap between my vision and the outcome. Try to articulate that I was fighting for something important, but that the entrenched interests and resistance to change were too strong. The interviewers nod politely, can see in their eyes they've already heard the real story. Tech is a small world. People talk, finally land a position at a smaller company, a nonprofit. Less prestige, less pay, but they appreciate my commitment to equity. Last day at my job. Clean out my office. Kenneth stops by, extends his hand. No hard feelings, Victoria. I know you meant well. Shake his hand, force a smile. I still think I was right about the principle. The execution just needed more time to work. He doesn't argue, just nods. Maybe. So, good luck with the new role. As I'm carrying my box to the car, see a couple of engineers in the parking lot, younger guys who joined after the policy was reversed. They're laughing about something, looking energized. One of them is carrying a laptop covered in coding stickers. Over here, a snippet of their conversation. Just got promoted to senior dev. Feels great to have the work recognized. Get in my car and sit for a moment. Think about Rachel, about Jake, about Owen. Think about Sylvia and her 9 years of loyalty. Think about what fairness actually means. Wonder if maybe the problem was that I assumed everyone wanted the same things. That I was so sure I knew what equity looked like that I didn't consider what people actually valued. The engineers who left didn't want special treatment. They wanted their effort and skill to mean something. And the people who would have benefited from seniority didn't want advancement they felt they hadn't earned, or they wanted it, but not at the cost of working with unmotivated colleagues. Start the car. Drive away, for the last time, The whole drive home, keep thinking about one line from my exit interview with Rachel. You've removed any incentive for excellence. At the time, I thought she was being entitled, thought she just wanted to preserve her unfair advantage. But maybe excellence was never the problem. Maybe the problem was assuming that recognizing excellence was inherently unfair, or that time served was a better proxy for value than actual contribution. Get home, pour a glass of wine, sit on my couch looking at job listings for the nonprofit, tell myself the tech industry was never going to accept progressive values anyway, too dominated by libertarian meritocracy worship. But somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice whispers, what if it wasn't about them not understanding fairness? What if I didn't understand motivation? What if equity isn't about making everyone advance at the same rate? What if it's about making sure everyone has the opportunity to be excellent and the recognition when they are? Silence the voice. Not ready to examine that too closely. Not ready to admit that maybe I got at it wrong, that maybe my certainty was the problem. Finish my wine. Tomorrow I start figuring out how to explain this on my LinkedIn, how to frame it as a learning experience, how to make myself still seem competent and principled. But tonight, I just sit with the failure, with the reality that my attempt to create fairness drove away the very people I thought I was protecting and empowered no one. Be me. Victoria, former HR director. Still convinced I was fighting for the right thing. Still not sure why it went so wrong. Still certain that someone else could have made it work. Just not ready to admit that someone else might have had a better understanding of what people actually need. Not ready to admit that fairness might be more complicated than I thought. Not ready at all. If this confession kept you hooked, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We share powerful true stories every day that explore the complex realities of life.